practice of the year. It's going to be their final marathon of 2024 training camp. And this driverless car just got aggressive on me. But it's going to be good because Brandon Aiyuk got to see every single play of that practice. And he got to see every single one of Brock Purdy's 25 throws. I already told you in the instant reaction that Brock Purdy was awesome today. Pinpoint accuracy, 21 of 25. But I get to tell you about this practice through the eyes of Brandon Aiyuk. Why? Because I was standing right behind him. So I got to see the practice from the same angle that Brandon Aiyuk did today. And he got to see a 49ers first team offense that seemed to really be clicking. Now, this came the day after the 49ers first team offense took a while to start clicking. That's kind of how training camp works. You have good days, you have bad days, and today was the final long practice for the 49ers, and that final long practice saw Brock Purdy and the offense deliver a really good day. 21 of 25 for Purdy. Josh Dobbs threw a bad interception in the red zone for the 49ers today. That was Chase Lucas, 49ers gunner, special teams guy who's competing for a roster spot. Used to be with the Detroit Lions, threw that pick. Brandon Allen was okay today. I thought that he threw a couple balls high. And Tanner Mordecai, a lot of people asking about him. He's finally starting to get more more team drill reps. He's not on the first team. These are third team reps that Tanner Mordecai is getting. The rookie out of Wisconsin threw the ball 3 times today, and he threw 2 interceptions. It was not a good day for him. A couple badly underthrown balls. I know that he was pressured on the play, but these were downfield passes that were underthrown. Darrell Luter Jr. picked off one of them, and then the veteran safety, Tracy Walker III, got another one. The second one, let me be clear here. The second one was not underthrown. The second one was overthrown. It was too high. Excuse me. And it sailed off of a receiver's fingertips and into the hands of Tracy Walker III. However, there was another a bad throw from Tanner Mordecai, his third throw. He was 0 for 3 today. That was underthrown. So not a good day for Mordecai. I don't want to bury him here because I think that the big opportunity for Mordecai will come in one of these preseason games. You've got to see if the guy's a gamer or not. I know that he was a gamer on his college tape. By the way, those of you who are new here, we always see the wheel turn. There's the wheel turning. Casper is taking us safely to our destination. Remember last time I did one of these was a couple days ago, and they had to call rider support because the car was struggling to make a U-turn by the Golden Gate Bridge over by Aquatic Park where I'm going right now. And I was like, oh, this is just like the Brandon Aiyuk situation. We're at an impasse. The driverless car's at an impasse. And then it figured out a way to get out of the bind without needing rider support to come. So I thought that was a good sign. I thought that might have been a metaphor for the Aiyuk situation. And believe it or not, ever since that moment, with this driverless car breaking the impasse, Brandon Aiyuk has watched almost all of 49ers practices. There have been 2 practices since then, and Brandon has been on the sideline for both of them today for a prolonged period of time. I said that this was through his eyes because we were standing right behind him. Well, I also saw who was talking to Brandon Aiyuk, in case you care. I know a lot of you don't, but we'll cover the situation anyway. This ties into the general news of the day, though. Ricky Pearsall looks like he's close to back from the shoulder injury. He's starting to do quite a bit of work off on the side, intensive work on the side. And then we saw Deebo Samuel toward the end of practice walk over to Brandon Aiyuk and start chatting with him on the sideline. We also saw Isaac Yiadom, who's going to be coming back, I would think, next week from his ankle injury. He was chatting with Brandon Aiyuk on the sideline. This is a big injury update right here. Christian McCaffrey was running full routes during the 49ers practice on the sideline. Said what's up to Christian as he was doing some of the stuff near the hurdles. He was active warm up, with I don't know exactly what they call the hurdles that they stretch on before practice, but I got to see Christian very briefly then, and then on the opposite side of the field, he was running full-on pass patterns. So they said about 2 weeks from the time of the calf strain. I'm guessing it's been about 10 days. I would have to look at the exact calendar, but I would expect Christian McCaffrey back at practice very soon. So let's go through what happened today. The side I mentioned the side work for those three guys. Also, Isaac Guerrero was working on the side. They said a few weeks at the start of training camp when Guerrero pulled his hamstring. So I don't know if that's going to translate into 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever that means. I think the 49ers would certainly love for him to get into a preseason game before he's back, so they have a little bit of a feel what they're working with here with Isaac Guerrero, but they obviously do not want to rush it because he had some hamstring issues in the past. Jordan Mason was showing some good hands again today. I know I've mentioned this a couple times. I'm the one that asked him about his jugs machine, or I asked him what he did to improve his hands, and he said that he bought that $3,000 piece of equipment this offseason, had his dad help train him. Today, he caught a pass. I don't want to say it was a one-handed catch, but he had to lunge a little bit for it, and I think both hands might have helped secure the catch, but one hand was dominant on the play, and then he was holding the ball like a loaf of bread for the next couple seconds as he was regaining his balance and running up the sideline. It just seemed like a lot of nifty, experienced hand movement for Jordan Mason. It looked like he knew what he was doing as a receiver on that particular play. Another player who's starting to come into his own for the 49ers coming off of a hamstring injury is Jacob Cowing, the rookie out of Arizona. And we've talked a little bit about him. There was a jet sweep to Jacob Cowing the other day that I looked at and I said, oh, okay, wow, this is what they want to use Jacob Cowing for. Gadget plays like that. I think in an ideal world, he replaces Ray McCloud, at least in the offense, as far as some of the gadget plays go. Listen, out of all receivers in the 2024 NFL draft class, Jacob Cowing's miles per hour in the first 5 yards of the 40 were the fastest. So he had the fastest initial 5-yard burst out of any receiver in this draft class. So you know that he can get off the line quickly. Is he a big receiver? No, he's not. He's a smaller guy. Again, Ray McCloud, who was really, really fast. I saw Ray up close running during his warm-up routine back when he was the 49ers here over the past couple of years. This guy was consistently, and I'm talking consistently, flying. I mean, the 0 to 60 for Ray McCloud was truly impressive, and as you've just seen from the stat that I gave you, I think the 0 to 60 for Jacob Cowing is impressive as well. Another thing that I think, if you've been paying any sort of attention, you know, but it's worth repeating since I'm giving you a thorough practice report, is that Deebo Samuel is really strong. And I think, he's just in such good shape this year. I wouldn't be surprised if the separation ability was better than in the past. In the past, we'd always talked about Deebo being, the greatest yak receiver of all time. Nobody's put up the type of after contact, after catch numbers Deebo Samuel's put up this year. But there had been questions about his separation ability, and people had looked at Deebo and Brandon Aiyuk and said, okay, Deebo is your bulldozer, bull in a china shop, and he's a little bit weaker as the standard, man coverage beating wide receiver, but Brandon Aiyuk will beat your man coverage. So, these two guys, they're a package deal. You have both of them, and you could do whatever you need to on the football field. We obviously haven't seen BA practicing for the 49ers yet this year. I'm sure that he hasn't lost his ability to beat man coverage. His ability to separate is really good. But I think that Deebo is separating better in the past because he's lighter than he was in the past. This is the best shape that Deebo Samuel has been in, the lightest weight of his entire NFL career. We're about to pass San Francisco City Hall, so we'll resume thoughts on Deebo Samuel here in just a second. Just wanted to give you guys some scenery as we pass City Hall. It's a beautiful day, by the way, as you can see in the city. Look at those blue skies. All right, we can continue. Oh my God, this truck carrying all the cars, trying to cut off the driverless car. This car is fearless, though. I was proud of it for its performance last time. So Deebo, it's at the lightest weight that he's been. What is it? It is an even year? It's an even year, which is funny because even year Deebo Samuel, this is breaking a trend, right? We had always joked about odd year Deebo Samuel. So that was 2019, rookie year, great season. 2020 was an even year, bad season. That's when he broke his foot during the workouts in Nashville that the 49ers had, and that led to some weight gain, and then that led to like hamstring injuries down the pipe in the regular season. 2021 is when they were calling him Skinny Deebo. When he came back into camp in awesome shape, he was an all-pro, one of the best players in the league. 2022 was the contract negotiation season, so it went back to odd year Debo. Was not nearly as good for Debo Samuel in that season. And then 2023, that was back to odd year Debo. I thought that he looked really, really good last year, but there were some games missed due to injury. This, though, is the best that we've seen him as far as conditioning goes during training camp. So he's got the speed to separate. Today on an outbreaker, he separated from Charvarius Ward, which I thought was really notable because there's not many people separating from Charvarius Ward over the course of this training camp. I mean, Mooney has been airtight, except for that one play against Debo today. And then there was one where Debo was matched up against Deommodore Lenoir, where Lenoir was right on him using his hip. But Brock Purdy was so precise at practice today. He was putting the ball exactly where it needed to be. And this was a little kind of a crosser, slant crosser. And Purdy, I mean, it was pinpoint precision. Hit Debo Samuel in stride in the hands. And we know that he's strong. When we know that Deommodore Lenoir is somebody who's going to harass you as a cornerback, who's going to be able to rip that ball away if you're not muscling it up as a receiver. But Debo Samuel was able to muscle it up. The biggest play of practice today was George Kittle deep. And Purdy put one on him deep. That was one of the 21 completions today for Brock Purdy. It was very, very crisp. 40, 45-yard gain, probably about 40 yards in the air for Brock Purdy. Here's a player. He's a 49ers dark horse that we need to talk about. Jake Tonjes. I'm sure, since I'm driving through San Francisco right now, I'm not driving. Casper's doing the driving. But I'm sure with Casper doing the driving in San Francisco, we've got some people here who are Bay Area natives, maybe Cal alumni. Jake Tonjes is a Cal Golden Bear, tight end. He played on the 49ers practice squad last year. I can't really figure out, and we're going to watch another turn here because I love showing you guys turns. We're taking a different route today, which is interesting. By the way, we could see the Salesforce Tower down Post Street. I always love going down Post Street because it lines up perfectly with the tallest building in San Francisco. That is the Salesforce Tower. Cool stuff, right? All right. So I wonder, I guess we're going to go up Leavenworth. Interesting. New route for the driverless car, going a little bit earlier today. Jake Tonjes, Cal Bear, tight end, was on the practice squad last year. The 49ers, and we're going to talk about Cam Latu as part of this too, so keep on listening if you want to hear about the 49ers third-round draft pick, or one of the three third-round draft picks from the 2023 draft. It had a big drop problem last year. So the 49ers have Eric Saubert, George Kittle, and Braden Willis at the top of their tight end room. Those three guys. Those three guys, barring injuries, I think are close to a lock to be able to make this football team. That's great for San Francisco. Obviously, George Kittle is. Obviously, Eric Saubert is. I think Braden Willis, 98% chance. I mean, he's had a good offseason. But who's going to be number 4, right? The 49ers have always carried 4 tight ends under Kyle Shanahan. So they're going to carry a 4th. I will say this before I get to Jake Tonjes. Cam Latu has definitely improved his hands. We have to give him credit for that. He was dropping everything last offseason before he had that knee surgery. So Cam Latu has definitely improved his hands. That's great for the 49ers because I think he's got a lot of potential as a blocker. If that's what Kyle Shanahan cares about, if that's what needs to be emphasized for that 4th tight end spot, then Cam Latu might grab it. But here's the thing about Jake Tonjes. They have him playing backup fullback on the days that Kyle Juszczyk takes a vet day. They always have to have a tight end do it because they don't carry 2 fullbacks on the roster. And that to me is extremely significant. Tonjes also has been making a lot of catches over the last few days. I mean, this is a guy who, for the first 2-3 weeks of training camp, we didn't hear from him much. But over the last week or so, we've heard from him a lot. Today, he held on to a football for a first down, even though Chase Lucas just laid him out. I mean, it was the hardest hit that I've seen in a while at training camp. It was right in front of me, right in front of Brandon Aiyuk, too, on the sideline. So Tonjes is a reliable receiver. I talked a little bit about him with George Kittle in Nashville over the course of the offseason, and Kittle said that he's done a really good job working on his body, building strength, being ready. It's similar to Ross Dwelly, who got his body transformed over the course of his time with the 49ers that allowed him to have such a long career with them. I mean, he's with the Falcons now, but Dwelly was with the 49ers for 6 separate one-year contracts. So I would really, really not count Jake Tonjes out. A lot of you are probably like, okay, what about Mason Pline, the former basketball player, the 6'7" tight end, the rookie? I think they love him. I think they want to keep him in the building. I think what he's done so far is remarkable. To be able to have so little experience at a lower level of college football, but step into an NFL building and impress people. I just don't think that Mason Pline is going to be 53-man roster ready by the start of this season, by the cut down, which is coming up in a couple weeks. I think he's an ideal candidate to keep on the practice squad. But then who's your 4th tight end? Is it going to be Latu? Is it going to be Tonjes? Can you keep Tonjes in the practice squad? Do you have to carry Latu on the 53? Stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff to watch over the course of this next preseason game against the Saints. And then there's one against the Raiders on the Friday following that. By the way, here we are. We are working our way. This is Nob Hill, and then it's going to dip down in the hill in front of us. Past that guy biking in front of us is Russian Hill. So we're actually taking a super scenic route this time. That's going to be exciting because we're going to be dipping down the hill. We're going to be crossing some cable car tracks, and I think we're going to get a really nice view of San Francisco as we keep on moving. I'll show you guys the Nob Hill cable car tracks here in a little bit as we go through a little bit more practice. There were some good one-on-ones today at practice, at 49ers practice. I watched the receivers and the cornerbacks go at it, but what was funny is on the other end of the field, you had the O-line and D-line. Today was definitely won by the defensive line, especially the interior. The interior O-line got its ass kicked in those one-on-ones. I verified this with Matt Barrows, who was over on that side of things. And Matt said, yeah. And at one point I noticed Chris Furster, the offensive line coach, left the one-on-ones like 30 seconds early, didn't even watch the end of them. He just was going to the other side of the field where the linemen would follow him to do their next drills. I'm like, that's weird. Why isn't Chris watching the rest of these drills? So I talked to Matt, and he's like, oh, yeah, the interior O-line just got destroyed today by the defensive line, and Chris Furster was pretty disgusted about it at one point. Furster, by the way, he talked before practice today. Here's some intel for you for the 49ers as you watch these games. They've got the veteran Chris Hubbard, and you saw him playing mainly left tackle against Tennessee. I used to live here, by the way. We're driving by my old place, right on Larkin. That was my gate right there. I do not live there anymore, but I used to live in Russian Hill, and we could give a little bit of a tour as I talk about Chris Hubbard. So Chris Hubbard was playing left tackle for the 49ers, and they had Brandon Parker playing right tackle. Supposedly, Chris Hubbard is much more comfortable playing right tackle, and Brandon Parker is more comfortable playing left tackle. But that was the point. This is a really good Italian restaurant. I always point this one out. This is Amarena. We're joining our original route at this time. Italian restaurant as we turn here on Russian Hill onto Green Street. We're going to climb up the hill, and this is just such a beautiful day. Chris Furster wanted both of these guys to play in positions that they weren't necessarily comfortable in, so he could gauge them and their ability to be a potential swing tackle for the 49ers. So, I thought that was fascinating today, that the 49ers are doing stuff in these preseason games with an eye for, okay, who's going to be more ready for the regular season? Who's going to be the guy that can help at that swing tackle position in the regular season? I always give Swenson's a shout out as well. Turkish coffee ice cream is what you've got to do at Swenson's. More intel today from the player availabilities. We heard Kyle Juszczyk talking about Bobby Turner, the 75-year-old running backs coach. Bobby Turner gives 49ers running backs an 8-page test, or a written 8-page test before every single game. So Kyle Juszczyk, this is going to be season 8. He's had to do a lot of 8-page tests. And somebody asked Kyle Juszczyk, why is Bobby Turner still doing this at age 75? And Kyle Juszczyk did not hesitate. He said, because he is the best in the world. Bobby Turner and his 8-page tests. All right, I'm giving you guys a cable car ride right now. This is the Hyde Street cable car line. We're getting to do our fun tourist activity. There you go. There you can see Alcatraz as we peek over the hill. Oh, there you go. There's Coit Tower. You're about to see Lombard Street. And I know that we're talking about Brandon Aiyuk, so I'm going to keep on drawing the metaphor. As we see Lombard Street, it's going to be a perfect time to illustrate it. There it is. You can see all the tourists. So, Brandon Aiyuk and this 49ers contractual drama has had more twists and turns, at least in the rumor mill, than the windy Lombard Street in San Francisco. There's your look at it. All right, now we're heading down the hill. I talked about Furster. I've talked about Bobby Turner. I've talked about Brock Purdy. I could talk about some receiver one-on-ones. How about we do that as we work our way down Hyde toward the water? I'm going to swim in that today. Swim out to Alcatraz today, maybe on a whim. That'd be crazy. It looks inviting, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it's good. Juwan Jennings was frustrated in one-on-ones today. I thought it was really, really interesting to see with Jennings, it was Charvarius Ward really got under his skin, because I told you people are not getting open against Charvarius Ward. Juwan Jennings was not getting open against Charvarius Ward in one-on-ones, and Juwan was yelling. I mean, he's an ultimate competitor. It's actually cool to see at these practices. It's cool to see how much Juwan Jennings cares. There's been like a lot of writing, and I think this is echo chamber stuff because it's popular to write. People like to write about vibes instead of actual real football. And they're saying, oh, well, the 49ers, like, they haven't had a lot of energy at practice. It's like, first off, have you even played football? How can you tell what the energy level is? It's just such a hard thing to grasp. And I think that it's kind of like a placebo effect almost. You think, oh, they went to the Super Bowl last year, so they've had a shorter offseason. Obviously, the Super Bowl was a gut punch to the 49ers. They don't have important players there right now, like Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams are not practicing. And on top of that, by the way, I think that's one of those blue and gold boats. Speaking of Jake Dunges, Cal Golden Bear. Are we going to make it past here, or are we going to get stuck? I think we're at an impasse. This car has gotten stuck in the past behind this cable car before. I'm wondering if they've improved the programming. But anyway, I'm going to go back to what's going on at practice here for the 49ers. Just because they've got guys out. Oh my God, we're going to no. Come on. You can make the turn. The drama is real. The question is, can we find the opening? And right now it appears that we are really struggling to do that. I mean, the hole's right there. There's daylight right there. I don't know why we can't move. These cars, I guess there's a big scandal right now because in their parking lot in Soma, they've been waking people up in the middle of the night because all these driverless cars just start honking at each other. So obviously there are defects. One of the defects is trying to get around cable cars because it says do not pass the cable car. But I think any other car would be passed. Like if I were driving right now, I would pass the cable car. Oh, here we go. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We made it. Christian McCaffrey's free. The offensive line blocked. Look at the line of cable cars. Dominic Pooney, Aaron Banks. One of them is Brendel. And we have now made it through. Beautifully, beautifully done. Anyway, my main point is do not worry about the energy at 49ers practice. There's not a lack of energy. They have got a few guys hurt. These are the dog days of August. I think some people covering the team are getting a little bit tired. Juwan Jennings, I think, made very sure that energy is not an issue. He was upset today when Charvarius Ward got the best of him. Really nice rep from Jacob Cowing against Renardo Green. Darrell Luter Jr. had a pick today. He looked good. Danny Gray, he's out of the non-contact jersey. He beat Samuel Womack. Chase Lucas beat Robbie Chosen in one-on-ones. And then we saw Ronnie Bell beat Rock Yassin, but it was good coverage from Rock Yassin. I mean, he was all over him. I really thought that was a good play. Look, we could see the Golden Gate Bridge to end this show.
Please make sure it's clear before exiting.
There's the bridge. I've got to go. That's your 49ers practice report. I think that's as detailed as it gets. We'll see you.